Okay. Just about to start. 1 minute to go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Ambassador Pykko as well from Finland. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Today, we at NordCham have the great pleasure of having this fireside chat, a recurring event with DTI Secretary Ramon Lopez. Now, there's a few reminders to everybody on, and also we are on Facebook Live. This event today is about Secretary Ramon Lopez as a leader. We will get inspired by him as a leader and leadership. We will not dwell too much on DTI and the things that they are working on, how they are helping all of us in the Philippines. But if you have questions related to that, you can still put it in the chat, but it will most likely not be dealt with today. But the secretary and his team has promised us to help us with such questions afterwards. Feel free to add any kind of questions in the chat, but kindly try to keep it related to leadership and leadership style and the many challenges that our dear Secretary Lopez is facing. Now, our guest here today, as I just mentioned, Ramon M. Lopez, he's the Secretary of the Department of Trade and Industry, the DTI, as we call them on a daily basis. Yeah, his extensive government experience with the Presidential Management Staff and the National Economic Development Authority in the early part of his career provided him with a solid background on macroeconomics and industry development that allowed him to adapt a more holistic trade approach when he moved to the private sector and became the top executive of a major Philippine food and beverage company for over 23 years. As a strong advocate for free entrepreneurship education for 12 years, he was called to serve the country again under President Rodrigo Roa Duterte's administration as the DTI Secretary. He chairs several institutions under DTI, such as the Board of Investment, the Cagayan Economic Zone Authority, the Small Business Corporation, the Philippine Economic Zone Authority, National Development Corporation, Export Development Council, Halal Board. He also supervises attached agencies such as the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines and the Cooperative Development Authority. He has received several awards, such as the Honorary Agora in the National Building Award in 2018, the 2016 Nation Builders Award for Governmental Service for his role as prime mover in micro, small, and medium enterprises development, and the Philippine Innovation Man of the Year Award in 2017 for the promotion of social entrepreneurship through innovation. In 2018, he received from President Duterte the Order of Sikatuna, with a rank of Datu, one of the senior honors one can receive in the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to present to you one of my heroes, I would say, here in the Philippines. I think Secretary Ramon Lopez is outstanding leader, and he and his department are doing so many great things for this country. and also for foreign investors. Secretary Ramon Lopez, welcome to this fireside chat here today.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jasper, and to our friends in NordCham. I'm deeply honored and pleased to be joining you this afternoon. Thank you for the very kind words. I'm deeply humbled. I don't deserve those words, but thank you anyway. And good afternoon, everyone in the room. Good afternoon to our friends from the private sector, as well as the members of the diplomatic corps who might be joining us this afternoon, fellow workers in government. Thank you. It's great to be here and joining you.
Thank you. Secretary Ramon Lopez, we will jump right out into it. We are so keen to learn about, how do you manage, the DTI and all the many tasks and everything that's happening. But first, maybe before we learn more about you as a leader, maybe you can elaborate a little bit about DTI, especially in terms of when you're a leader, right? How many staff do you have in DTI? I think people are not 100% sure about that. And also around the world. I mean, I'm so impressed. I mean, there's DTI people all around the world, and still you seem to be managed it so fantastic.
Yeah, thank you, Jasper. Well, DTI is of course, one of the key government agencies in handling, of course, the trade and industry sector. That would include also parameters that work on increasing investments, promoting exports. And DTI is not a huge organization. I mean, compared to the other agencies, but we are still probably the whole DTI family with attached agencies, something close to 3,000, and that's scattered nationwide. Worldwide, we have about 26 posts, and they are manned by about 30 foreign trade service officers. In other words, there are sometimes 2 or 3 in one post, and that's the reason why there are more officials. They move around. They have a term of about 6 years, but it can cut short and have some reassignment as necessary. Here, when I talk of that DTI family, 3,000, but the DTI itself, the organic organization composed of the bureaus and all that, would probably be less than 1,000. So you can just imagine that the others would be in the different attached agencies.
Thank you so much for elaborating on this, and I think this makes it even more impressive. You might not think it's a huge organization, but I mean, also with the time zone differences with people around the world, and you still, the people that we are in contact, at least in the Nordic countries, they are doing a fantastic job as well. So we are very impressed with that. So very well. All right, let's go into this talk about you as a leader. I'm super keen to be inspired by you and get some insights and new ideas on being a leader. So we have some prepared question, and to the audience on the Zoom call, kindly feel free to key in the chat. If you have any questions, we will try to deal with that at the end. We might have to select a few, but let's see. We should have time for a few questions from the audience as well. Let's see how we deal with that. All right. So Secretary Lopez, a person who impacted you as a leader, a mentor or somebody, who would you say is one of those people?
Oh, well, of course, the immediate influence would be my father and my grandfather, who I looked up to ever since I was young. We are a simple family. I mean, they're professionals, a lawyer, accountants, and what I see in them, or basically what I saw in them, because they both passed away already, were that they've been focused on they're very professional, focused on their objectives. They're very honest. They're very sort of energetic. They're committed to their job, committed to serving others. I guess I would say they are men for others, and this to me is something that I value the most. Doing it for others, not for myself, because fortunately, I am blessed already with many things, and that's the reason why I guess many of us probably would always already be at a stage where you want to do more. I mean, beyond yourself, and I think that is to me a main driving just motivation. So that at the end of the day, when we value our life, it's really in the end, it's not what you do for yourself, but what you did for others. So that to me is the most important thing. So I just try to be the best in doing what's best for others. I guess it's a very simple mantra that I have.
You might think it as a simple mantra, but I mean, that is the backbone of everything, right? For a society to thrive, to have leaders with that kind of background. So thank you for elaborating on this. And this was a very interesting perspectives, and it's good to know. Thank you. All right, so let's move on to the next question. We have a question here. Where do you find inspiration and creativity?
Okay, I see that from everywhere. Actually, you touch on the point of creativity, which to me also is a very important, I would say, dimension that I always want to bring in anything that I do in the organization, especially coming from private sector and rejoining government. Basically, I've been trying to look for more creative ways of how to serve better. And this is where we always, the buzzword of innovation. I always say to the team here that innovation is not just for private sector. Innovation is really how to innovate even on government programs. And we've started a lot of programs that were not being done before, that I believe can make a difference in the lives of our stakeholders. And to me, one of my passion really is the micro, small, and medium. Two things, and then at the same time modernizing industries. So two dimensions. And in both cases, I always try to inject creativity and innovation on both. I mean, we're not talking of the micro, small as the basic, typical micro, small, but always injecting, empowering them with, expanding their mindset, their know-how, their imagination, and putting innovation and creativity what will work for them. And where do I get those? As I said, we usually just try to be open with anything I see from nature, from anything outside our, outside our confines. Even through reading and watching. I don't know. In watching TV, for example, I just, ever since I was small, I always try to watch for programs where I learn. I'm not fond of the telenovela or the fictional stories. If at all, I would like to watch inspiring stories. I mean, real or true stories. And more news, more, I guess, documentaries. I'm fond of those. And of course, new trends. I like marketing as a functional area. I like creating brands. Like where I came from, I'd like to understand consumers. I'd like to build brands, brand building, improving brand equity, which to me should have a combination of innovation, creativity, and addressing what the market needs and wants. So things like those are of interest to me, and I guess putting all those together is where I would get creativity.
Thank you so much for elaborating on this, and it's great sources of inspiration that you have, and for creativity. And just before we started here as well, you also and I have to say this when you were mentioning, from the Nordic countries, so there's some happiness, and there's different
Yes.
parameters. So I hope you get inspired from the Nordics as well. Otherwise, we will have to do a better job on that.
No, definitely. Before this program, I was mentioning we look up to the Nordic countries that are ranking 1 and 2 in the happiness index. And to me, as I said, that is the bottom line of it all. We just want people to be happy, Filipinos to be happy, and be comfortable in their life. Prosperity, inclusive prosperity, is just probably a means to that. But at the end of the day, we want people to be happy. And that's the reason why we look up to your countries for this different dimension. I must admit. In fact, I saw a documentary also on the happiness index referring to your countries. And I love that program. I love in Netflix.
That sounds good. Thank you so much for further elaborating, and I'm happy if the Nordic countries can play a small role in inspiring you. Now, moving on with some other questions. So you have to make so many very important and critical decisions. Now, what is the most critical, important decision that you can make for your organization to really perform as outstanding as it is?
Well, when I came in, talking to President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, we both, I would say, sort of found ourselves with shared objective. And as far as trade and industry is concerned, it's really helping the small guys. Again, back to the interest of helping other people. And this is the segment of our population that really needs help. The small guys in terms of in business, those are the micro and the small, the unempowered ones, the marginalized sector, the PWDs, people with disabilities or different abilities, out of school youth, and giving them another chance in life. So it's been always a challenge and again a joy to be able to make a difference in their life. So the programs we've done is centered along the areas of helping micro small for them to graduate and not remain micro forever or small forever. We want them to be the future Jollibees and McDonald's and all those big businesses. But everything starts small, so that's how we try to inspire them, and we give them with real stories that made it out of nothing. And of course, aside from inspiring them, teaching them the tools, giving them the tools, the entrepreneurial concepts, how the basics of entrepreneurship that will really allow them to grow both systematically and creatively. And the tools would cover everything, product development, marketing, financial literacy, and the like, up to business plan preparation. And with that, we sort of give them the tools, but at the end of the day, we challenge them to always be different, be innovative, etc. So with that kind of empowerment and training, we supplement it also with the other parts of the program of the DTI. Some are already existing, but some are, again, as I said, innovation. For example, one innovation we did is after we've taught the SMEs to how to become better entrepreneurs, smarter entrepreneurs, and product development and all that. At the end of the day, they finish a product, but where do they sell them? Well, the old program is a weekend trade fair, 3 days and all that. After that, they're gone. So what we did is an everyday trade fair. And what we did is we partnered with retail institution. I coming from business sector, I believe in mainstreaming products, not just for temporary programs, but making it available every day. So we developed a program, public-private partnership. We talk to the retailers, please carry SME products, have a Go Local store, physical setup before the pandemic. And during the pandemic, we converted it into virtual setup, virtual Go Local, online Go Local stores, or one town, one product. We call it OTOP hubs. Things like those are some innovations we started. And so far, it's mainstream. It's in key stores as well as online. There are microfinancing innovations that we did. We made it online as well. So these are, to me, some exciting programs. At the end of the day, the other approach, of course, would be policy approach. So this could be policies like the Magna Carta for SMEs. Policies, of course, are influenced by laws, by acts, or at least the CREATE law that where we try to really lower the tax rate that benefited a lot of micro SMEs. So these are just some of the, I guess, creative programs and policies that we started to implement and hopefully making a difference now in their operation amidst the pandemic, of course.
Surely, that's a lot of inspiration that that your department is helping with, and helping all of these SMEs to get up and running, and manage this situation that we are in, especially now. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we also need to talk a little bit about your team as such. So how do you encourage others in your organization to communicate and live by these core values that you so obviously have in yourself?
Well, that's right at the start. Of course, the internal structure has been there, but we tried to make some reorganization with different focus. The DTI, the Department of Trade and Industry, I tried to simplify it for the outside, I guess the external audience as well as internally, so the organization can rally to one solid cause. And of course, the overall mission is to make the lives of Filipinos comfortable and progressive, inclusive prosperity. But in the organization, I try to simplify it into trabajo, negosyo, consumer. That means jobs, business for micro SMEs, and consumer protection. And so a lot of our policies and programs would revolve around those dimensions. And we organize in that way where we can address all those different points. I am supported by 6 undersecretaries and a couple of assistant secretaries. And they are multitasking. I mean, they cover a lot of programs, sometimes beyond their areas. In fact, there is this slogan or mantra that DTI has for the people, that is servisyong higit pa sa inaasahan. In English, it's like service beyond expectation. That all our people are trying to work on. It means that there is a no wrong door policy. For example, for consumer protection, we try to entertain all kinds of complaints, and there's a lot of these consumer complaints, and there's no wrong door. We have a 1384, a one hotline, number 1384. In short, that's one DTI in the old dial, and it accepts all complaints, and all these complaints get addressed. Over 94% addressed, and many of these, of course, are addressed also by other agencies, but we would be the receiving point, just to make it easy for the people out there. So basically, that's how we manage. We are governed by a vision, mission, and part of the core values would be those service beyond expectation. That's integrity. There's service to the people or for the country. Honesty and all that would be there. Passion, creativity, innovation, they're all there. I guess I try to influence that part on the core values.
That sounds yeah. Thanks for sharing of this. I'm not so surprised when we know how well your organization is working. So well done. Now it's a little bit tricky question, a difficult one, I think, because you're mentioning so many values. If you were to say one characteristic that a leader should possess, what would the main, most important characteristic of a leader be in your mind?
That's I guess that a leader, that's if there's one word, maybe it would be goal-driven. I guess that might, it's two words. Okay, goal-driven. But if you allow me to put it into 3 characteristics, and this is what I look for also for people. Our officials know this already. I summarize it into ICE, integrity, competence, and energy. So you can't leave one without the other. You may have competency and energy, but without integrity, then that's dangerous. Without competence, that's also kind of weak. You have integrity and energy. And without energy, you will have a useless integrity and competence. So this is, to me, the three legs in a chair that would be needed if we are to be a good leader, or even, the stuff that I look for. I just check on these 3 points.
Thank you so much. And those are indeed three very critical points. And it leads me actually to the next point on the next question, because I mean, I think we are many who are so impressed with your energy level and all the things you accomplish, and despite being in a very stressful situation, I expect, and so many things happening, you still find time for this as well, an event like this, and helping us and inspiring all of us. But so there must be some way that you fuel your energy. How, what's your main passion related to work, or what would you say that gives you that energy? So to refill, recharge your batteries, so to say.
Well, yeah, we all get tired. So sometimes with heavy meetings in a day, I usually finish around 8 for meetings and staying at the office. But we also get tired. So you just have to recharge every day. A good sleep would be very important. And that's something that I cannot sacrifice, because physically, like before, I tried really working late and having just 4 hours of sleep. It really damages, physically and mentally. So at least I try to get good 6 hours sleep. And prior to that 6 hours, a lot of readings just to wind down and refresh, and refresh also with more knowledge. Again, more news. I like reading news or listening to the TV. Every time at home, they know if I'm around because it's always news on TV. So I'm just like that. But again, I mentioned I like documentaries, so as a way to relax. There are channels, TV networks I like watching that somehow help me distress. Those are some relaxation. If there's time, like on a weekend, if time permits, of course, a walk around the parks, nature would be good. I'd like to spend time in golf, but again, the time is not friendly to me nowadays. So again, after my stint, I'll probably go back to that sport. But for now, I try to distress also through badminton. So unfortunately, during ECQ, they're closed, but so we find ways.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds very interesting, and I hope that there's so many being vaccinated now, and I think there is a good progress happening. So hopefully we can soon be able to arrange a golf tournament again, and then we'll make sure to invite you for that. Certainly.
Thank you.
That could be a lot of fun.
I will need a lot of practice before that.
I understand. So it's not so easy. All right, we are coming slowly to an end to some of the preparedness from the NordCham side. Then we also have questions from the audience.
Sure.
Question before we tap into some questions. There were some questions submitted in advance from the audience, and then we have some in the chat, a few in the chat. But before we get to that, Secretary Lopez, you've done so many great things already. I hope you're going to stay on for a long, long time, because I really admire your work. But if you already now should say, one thing, one legacy that you're really proud of, something that will be a legacy now, or maybe something that you're still working on now, what would that be?
I guess I can limit it to 3 if you allow. MSME, I mentioned a lot. Digitalization is the second thing. And probably a legacy like the FTA that we closed. We had an FTA before EFTA, but that was a time before me. So that is closer to your home. But what was during my time was the recently signed RCEP, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, ASEAN plus 5 countries, which after 8 years of negotiation, we were finally able to achieve, a very meaningful trade agreement in the region. where we operate, and we can see greater, I guess, opportunity for growth after having signed this. Of course, the other FTAs are equally important. The FTAs with EFTA, with Japan, and the GSP with EU, GSP Plus, and the GSP with the US. But we're still working on other FTAs. And then the second I mentioned was digitalization. This time around, we were able to launch the Central Business Portal. It's, I would say, on beta phase. By the end of the year, what used to be like over 3 months of registration in just to start a business in the Philippines, we were able to bring it down closer to 5 days. But talking to the remaining agencies, we are targeting 1 day processing of registering a business. A very simple corporate structure, not the complex ones. The simple ones, which would account for the 80%, we want to do it in less than a day or within 1 day. So that's a legacy that I'd like to end with, digitalizing a lot of business processes, not only in starting a business. We're introducing AI. AI to me is, I guess, the future BPO for Philippines. BPO, foreign exchange remittances and foreign exchange generation are obtained in the 70s with the OFWs, overseas Filipino workers, going out. We're now generating about 30 billion, but there are 12 million OFWs. But moving into the BPOs, which started in the 2000, another $30 billion in generation a year, but that's already 1.3 million. So you can imagine higher per capita contribution. So what I'm saying is, if we are able to do well on AI, we can reach 30 billion with less than 1 million. And that means increasing the per capita contribution of all these valuable export services, which Philippines is known for. Service is one area where we have a, shall we say, comparative advantage as well as trade surplus. In the goods, as you know, Philippines has a deficit, trade deficit, but in services, we're always a surplus. And I think this is one area where Philippines is good, and we have the resources, labor, talent, educated manpower, science, technology, engineering, mathematics type of graduates. So we have a strong chance for building the AI research as a service provider. And we're starting with one. Before the end of the year, we hope to incorporate a private sector-led AI research, although it's government initiated, but we're rallying the big companies, the private sector, because we believe private sector should lead so that operation can become sustainable, even if we're no longer here, and sustainable and more nimble and more dynamic moving forward, because it will be run by the private sector. So I always believe in public-private partnership. So MSME, digitalization, and the free trade agreements, the RCEP, would be, I guess, the legacy.
That is indeed the three, really important things and a legacy. And I mean, we of course also having new foreigners coming in and establishing themselves here and reducing the time that's already been done is been a tremendous help in attracting foreign direct capital investments. But moving forward with the further reductions, that makes it really, that helps, of course.
Yeah,
and digitalizing things also make it more transparent and easier for people, for instance, from the Nordics to do things here and do business.
Yeah, related to that, maybe just a rejoinder that in attracting foreign investments, the other legacies we're hopefully leave behind would be the economic reforms we're doing. One I mentioned, the CREATE, but of course we're still working on retail trade, PSA, and FIA, Foreign Investment Act, the PSA's Public Sector Act, Public Service Act. And so this would be vital economic reforms that should attract more foreign investors into the country and reduce the sort of roadblocks that discourages higher foreign equity investment in these vital sectors.
Certainly, and I don't want to dwell too much on it. I just want to say that this, of course, those three acts that you mentioned is also, of course, what we from the chamber here in Nordic Chamber, but also my colleagues from the other European chambers, all the foreign chambers, that we are hoping and trying to help to get those passed, because we strongly believe that it will help tremendously for everybody. All right, these were the pre-prepared questions from NordCham. These are the kind of standard questions that we ask at the fireside chat. Now we do have a few. We have 10 minutes to go. We have a few questions that were submitted in advance from some of the participants when they signed up. Man, can you help me to share it in the chat? The first one. So here we go. This is from Eric Nelson. He is asking, sir, you are always very generous with your time for the benefit, especially of foreign chambers, such as today. How do you manage to keep a reasonable work-life balance?
Okay. Well, I don't know if it's balanced, but now, I try. Definitely, you have to spend time with your spouse. That's rule number one. So at home, at least when you're talking to her, it's focused. The discussion is focused and to what you're talking about. That has, but in between, of course, there will be time to sort of check your cell phone, your mobile phone, but definitely a work-life balance with your loved ones would be very important. And I guess we discussed earlier, time for other stuff to learn and get inspiration from as well, and learn from news and all that, from the TV and other media, even social media.
Thank you for replying to the question from Eric Nielsen, and thank you to Eric for asking this question in advance. We have a question here from Ambassador Kytko from Finland as well. Oh wait, sorry. Of course, this should just keep it. Okay. So we'll take this. This is a question that came in through this session. So Ambassador Kytko, he's saying, Secretary Lopez, thank you for your wise words. With regards to happiness, Finland has been ranked again the happiest nation in the world. Still, I think we all have many things to learn from other nations, like joie de vivre in the Philippines. Sorry if I mispronounced that. My question would be, what do you think would be the most important lesson to all of us as professionals from the pandemic, the way it has changed the way we work, interact, etc.?
Oh, well, it's a difficult question. Offhand, I think we just learn how to adapt. I guess that's at the top of mind reply that I can think of right now. We adapt to many things, even adjusting the way we do business, we work, we live. At least it's good that this time around there's technology complementing our needs, like this virtual meeting that we're able to do, and technology, information from technology. Imagine with many theaters and live and theaters as well, movie theaters that are not operating with technology, you can have instant on-demand video as you need it, communication, meetings, a lot of definitely adjustment and adaptation. We all learn quickly, and there are blessings in disguise. As we've been mentioning, in the Philippines, the digitalization has sort of accelerated because of the pandemic, and again, because of the requirement. Many businesses were affected, but at the same time, it brought life to many ideas and many new businesses. I reported that the number of new businesses surpassed the number of closures, and in a way, the pandemic has brought about a lot of new businesses. From 900,000 in 2015, we are now 1.9 million companies registered in the Philippines. There are still, my estimate, about 5 million unregistered. I mean, but at least those who got registered is a million more compared to about 5-6 years ago. So it's still a relatively good development despite the pandemic, but we could have done more. Hopefully, again, I guess everybody's saying we should just survive this pandemic and we'll be okay. I mean, life is of course more important, but at the same time we try to protect the economy as well, because at the end of the day, it's livelihood to the many people, our countrymen.
Yeah, that is indeed a difficult balance, but it's really good to hear that so many new companies have been established. That is great news, and I think it's very much in line with what one of your focuses on getting more SMEs and micro companies up and running and help them to grow. So this is really good news. Thank you for sharing that positive. Okay, so we have two more questions. I think that's all we can do. So in the Nordics, the average person has more than 2 payment cards, and more than 80% use digital payments on a daily basis. Most governmental processes, they are digital and hence very fast and transparent. Things that you're talking about that you're already working on, right? In fact, the governments in the Nordics, they are the leading in implementation of digitalization. I know that DTI, they are working on making the Philippines a leading country for digitalization and AI. But what leadership approach are you using to convince the entire government to speed up this implementation of digitalization, use of AI and the likes? I mean, it requires a lot of change of mindsets or in mindsets on many levels. What are there anything specific that you use, any specific training that you use for that to convince people?
Yeah, thank you, Jasper. You're very correct in your question, the perspective there too. It's really important maybe to set the vision, let them understand, accept, and own the vision. Just like what I was discussing earlier on ease of doing business. I always try to show my phone that the ultimate ease of doing business would be through this. If you can transact everything here, like registering a business, getting your applying for a passport, applying for your birth certificate, then you are hitting the ultimate ease of doing business, and one can transact from anywhere and have a digital payment from anywhere as well. So at least there are some positive developments in those fields right now, even as we try to have more financial fintech, financial technology, and financial inclusion as objectives. So we want to share what would be the benefit for the people, the convenience. We share those vision, and if at all visualize them. Our president was able to simplify also and visualize and communicate this to the people and to the government agencies. He simply said, I want to see no more lines. Okay, basically no queuing, and because queuing represents hardship, difficulties for Filipinos. Because to him, his bottom line, the president's bottom line, is to make life comfortable for majority of Filipinos. I guess that's the reason why Filipinos see him as very sincere in doing that. That's why up to now he's over 84% approval rating. So I think he's really doing things right. I mean, on a last year of presidency, that this is really a record-breaking approval rating number. I think at the end of the day, the understanding, acceptance, and ownership would be important. And so analogies that I described also explaining how, for example, our vision on AI, the way I explained earlier, comparing it with the OFWs, the BPOs, probably would be, I guess, something that might make our people understand, and sort of for them to rally with me, and just help them identify, for example, that Philippines has that great potential, high potential. Maybe that probably would unintentionally or intentionally would be my approach in sharing the vision and the benefit to the Filipinos.
Thank you so much for sharing this. I think all companies, they have a hard time implementing digitalization among some of their staff, but I think your approach in how you deal with it and try to convince people, that's a good inspiration for companies as well. Thank you for sharing all of this. I would love to have a number of additional questions, but we also promised you that this is a relatively intense, short fireside chat, and we don't want it to go very far. So we have a few more questions. There's also some really related to DTI and you know, not as you as a leader, and we know from your team that it's okay that we send them to you for dealing with it later as such. It's 2:45 and our meeting is basically done. I just want one final question for you, and then I hope we can do a group picture after that.
Okay, sure.
And our participants can turn on their videos if they want to be on it. So one final, it's basically just a final message for our audience here in terms of leadership and how to do things. What would you have one final message to people? What should they, you know, look at? What should they focus on?
Well, at the end of the day, to me, our number one asset, people. So taking attention to the needs of the people. It's either the people as your externalities, your constituents, and the people also within the organization. To me, taking care of them. They are not costs, they are investments. So we invest in our people. We try to motivate and encourage them. I guess I am not of the old school that would shout or, you know, deal differently with people. I just try to deal with them as you know, as a family, as my children or siblings. So I am the I would say one that would try to win them on our side for them to do what I want to do. So I guess our focus on people would be very important. I just want to make this a quick answer. People as your client. I mean, how do we make others benefit and happy, and our people as well, making them happy but effective, and they will deliver what they have to deliver.
This was so inspiring. Secretary Ramon Lopez, I'm really appreciative of your time for doing this event with NordCham, the Fireside Chat. This was really interesting, and I'm looking forward myself to review the video later today as well. That will be my evening relaxation, I think. Look at something and learn. Thank you so much for this. Thank you so much for the great work that DTI, you and your entire team is doing for the entire country and for us as foreigners, foreign chambers. We really appreciate all of it. Can we ask the audience to turn on their videos if they want to be on a quick picture with Secretary Ramon Lopez before we stop? Man, I think, yep, we need to do like this. Can we do a few rounds? Man, can you take the picture?
Glenn is here. One of our special trade representatives is here.
All right, let's do a few rounds, I think, so we get everybody on. I'll just count 3, 2, 1, smile. And one more. And let's do this the same, just I think there's a few more people that needs to be on the picture. 3, 2, 1, smile. And I think we need one more, Maan, or 2 more? Well, a few more, sorry for that. One more. Okay, 3, 2, 1, smile. And can we do a last one and a big thumb up for DTI and his Secretary Ramon Lopez and his team? Thank you so much, everybody. 3, 2, 1. Smile or thumb up. Thank you so much, everybody. This is concluding this event. Really appreciate the time with all of you, and of course, especially DTI Secretary Ramon Lopez. thank you so much again, and I'm looking forward to see you at an event soon again. I'm sure it's not going to take long because you are always here and always helping us. Thank you so much. Everybody have a good evening and stay safe.
Stay safe. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jasper, and your team.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.